Hi guys, and welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. The fly you see in the vise is called a Jack Daniels. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now before I put a blank hook in the vise, I just want to give a shout out to Cory, and I do hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's an American chap and he has his own YouTube channel called Old Dominion Trout Bum. It's an excellent channel if you're into Euro nymphing. He really goes into explanations of the do's and don'ts of Euro nymphing, and it's very good. He also ties a few flies on his channel, and one that he calls a confidence fly really caught my eye. I know a good fly when I see one, and I've been tying up a few of these for my own boxes. So let's get the hook I'm using. I have tied them 14 down to 18, and sadly I'm on the 18, so you're getting the very smallest version of the fly that I'll be tying. I'll not be going any smaller than this with this pattern. But basically what I've got in the vise is a Hanak H 480 barbless hook. It's at size 18. It's on a Jig Champion, and I've coupled it with a 3mm slotted tungsten bead. Now it might seem a little overweighted, and I'll probably will tie another 6 with 2.5mm tungsten beads on, but I'm going to start with this. Small and heavy is always good for the pocket water kind of fishing that sometimes get a chance to do. So first things first, I'm going to use this thread here, and it's basically a UTC thread, and it's tan, it's 70 denier. I like tan a bit heavier. Now I think Cory uses a Danville's thread, but this is quite a light colour, and what I usually do is I get a big lump behind my bead to stop it from moving round, but we're not going to do that on this occasion. Hopefully there'll be a few techniques on this fly that you might not have seen before. Certainly it was a new way of doing business from my perspective, so it's always nice to try different things, and it does give a really nice effect. So I'm going to use my thread to build up a little bit of a body, and I'm going to add in a Coq de Leon tail, and this is the, I'll just get this because I will slaughter the pronunciation, better if you read it for yourself, from Troutline. And I'm going to take off between 4 and 5 fibres from the feather, and then I'm going to dress that up. I want it about the length of the shank of the hook. Yeah, that does get on my nerves a little bit with the bead moving, but it's worth the effort and annoyance. So I'm going to catch it just on my side, and I'm going to catch it just slightly down towards myself. As I bring the thread over the top here, the Coq de Leon will move to the top of the shank, which is where I want it. And if I can take my fingers away and just check the length, that's perfect. I'm going to come underneath for one turn, and what this does is it splays out your tailing fibres here. I'll remove the excess of the Coq de Leon, and then I'm just going to try and seat that bead back there. It doesn't want to sit for me, probably because of the way I've got the hook secured in the vise. But I'm just going to get a nice skinny body built with the thread. Now as I get towards the middle here, I'm going to just give my thread a little spin anti-clockwise, and what that does is it flattens it out so I can get the very smallest of tapers into the fly. Now once I've got it at the butt end, I'm going to come in with a pro marker here. As you can see, it's black, and then I'm going to give my thread a spin clockwise. Now what this does is tighten up all the fibres on the thread and gives you more like a quite a thin, tight rope. So I'm going to come in and just shy of the butt here, I'm going to colour about an inch of thread. Bear with me while I get the top back on my felt tip. I don't want my blue shirt getting covered in pen. And then I'm going to come round and I'm looking for 4 to 5 turns of the thread rib as I come up the shank of the hook. And then once I've got it in behind the bead, I'm going to come in with my whip finish tool and finish that off. I can take that away. Now, the next part, you've got to be careful. I'm going to use some Solaris bone dry, but you can use what UV resin you like. If you've got time on your hands, of course, you could varnish up this and set it aside and leave it to dry if you're tying in batches. I just like to have the instant gratification, so I'm going to use the Solaris bone dry. As you can see, it's got a very fine brush which really does lend itself for this delicate work, even on smaller flies. So I've got a very thin layer. It doesn't need to be a lot. Just make sure that is pushed back, and then I can come in with my torch and cure that off. Just make sure it's completely dry. Content that that's just about got it. So the next thing then, we're going to come in with some 30 denier brown silk. And I'm just going to catch that in, just in behind the eye. I'll bring my rat's tail to the other side, and then once I'm happy that's secured in, again I'll take away the rat's tail. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a dubbing loop. Now it's not something you'll see me do very often because I'm a great fan, especially with these nano silk type things, is splitting the thread to create my thorax, but it's essential that you use a dubbing loop, and I'm going to use this. Now usually this is the card that this holds the card that I do my little shorts with, but I'm actually going to use it for what it was meant for today. So I'll just bring that into play. It's the first time I've ever used it actually. How sad's that? So I'll just create a small dubbing loop. Super thin thread this, and the reason for that is you want it to disappear into behind the bead once we've done the head here. So I've caught that in like so. Next thing I'm going to do is with my spinning tool, I'm going to catch that in next. So we've got quite a lot going on. We've got our main thread going out to the front, and we've got a dubbing loop created in at the thorax. Now what I'm going to be using to create my thorax here, initially I've got some Hens 45, it's like a black dubbing. I've got a small amount out ready to go on. I'm going to grab one of the strands and just get about an inch of dubbing on I want for a fly this size. Depending on which size you're tying, you might want to have a little bit more, but that's probably just about right for this size of fly. Now the next thing then, as I say, I've been tying a few of these up from my own boxes. I've got the other side of this CDC feather here. It's just natural CDC, it's quite dark, and what I'm going to do is just fluff it out like so, and then I can catch that in my clip. And once I've got that in place, I'm going to come in with my scissors and just trim it up. And I've probably got about just on an inch of CDC here in the clip, and I can grab my dubbing loop bring it into the clip, pull it tight, and then I can release my CDC. Then I'll simply spin that up, and as you can see, the CDC starts to poke out now. So once I've got that spun up and I'm content, I can then take my thread from my thread holder thingy. I don't even know what it's called. I used to just call it the thing that holds the card, but it's obviously designed for something else. So I'm going to come right in behind the bead now, and what I'm looking to do is fill up that little slot just at the back of the bead there. And once I've got that around, I can then just shorten my thread. Thread control is quite important when you're tying small flies. So shorten that up. A couple of turns just to hold it into place. Then I can just take that away. So that's looking not too shabby. There's a little black bit just sticking out there. I'm just going to come in, try and grab it with my fingers, which I've done. And then just to finish off, I'm going to put a touch of super glue onto my thread before I'll whip finish it. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Is this something you might give a go? It's certainly, I've now got a box of these. Not a box, but I think I've got about 20 of them tied up in various weights. I've just got the very small and very light stuff to go, but you just know, don't you? It's going to work. It's going to work. So why don't you check out Old Dominion Trout Bum on YouTube? I'll leave a link in the description. And thanks for watching.